Roddy Rich with Live Life Fast. It's kind of disappointment. I'm sorry, it's very slow and boring. And then I hate to say this, but I've got to mention BLACKPINK with Born Pink. I think this is so glossy and overproduced and like leagues worse than their first album. Leagues worse. Afterwards, I have to mention Muse's Will of the People. I do think there are a couple of good moments here and there, but overall it's just a really embarrassingly on the nose and heavy-handed album. Another album, I think this is the third or fourth or maybe even fifth album that Muse had made that is about resistance and anarchy and throwing down the government, and yet the lyrics are so vague you can't really tell what's Muse's actual political stance. The instrumentals are so cringy at times, it's just Next up we got Nav's Demons Protected by Angels. Yeah, it's crazy that Nav is not on the top 15, because I do have to admit this album is a little better than all of the previous Nav albums, but even so, it's still boring as shit. Speaking of boring, I have to mention Post Malone's new album, 12 Carat Toothache. I'm sorry, I really like the guy, but damn. Then finally, man, how did this album even like make it out of the list? I don't know. Consider him extremely lucky. Who is he? He's Brendan Urie. Panic at the Disco with Viva Lust Vengeance, easily one of the most annoying, preachy, and over-the-top pop albums of the year. His vocals sound so forced, the loud screams are so forced, the instrumentals are so repetitive, the whole album is just one really annoying non-stop scream. So yeah, top 15, let's go. At number 15, I am giving it to Yungblud's self-titled album, Yungblud, for being one of the most annoying and frustrating emo alt pop rock albums of the year. Yungblud's vocals sound so strained and so forced, and it's just like, again, it's albums like this that make me think pop punk revivalism in 2022 is a terrible idea. Well, what the fuck is it? At number 14, I am giving it to Imagine Dragons, Mercury Act 2. Yeah, this another year, another Imagine Dragons album on the worst albums list. Unfortunately, Mercury Act 2 is not that much better than Mercury Act 1. It's still bland, either bland and boring, or extremely epic for no reason whatsoever. Super loud, over-dramatic choruses where Dan Reynolds just scream his ass off. And one of the biggest problems with this album is that it's bloated. It's Act 2, so it's already a double album in the first place, but Act 2 alone has so many tracks. And Dan Reynolds go for this concept of, the main characters battling depression and anxiety and all that stuff. But lyrically, he doesn't really get anywhere deeper than that. So it's just, it still felt very overdramatic and nothing deep. At number 13, I am giving it to Jack Harlow with Come Home the Kids Miss You. Again, I respect the guy, I admire the guy, but this has got to be one of the biggest snooze fests of the year. Listening to this album really makes me sleep. At number 12, I am giving it to, unfortunately, Gabbie Hana with Trauma Queen. Now, the thing with this album is actually musically, it's not even that bad. It's got some really intense performances and some pretty convincing instrumentals, rock instrumentals. Yes. This is Gabbie Hana of the legendary meme from a couple years ago. But what if I'm the monster? Yes, it's her. Thankfully, none of the songs on this album are as outrageous as Monster, but close, because really this album is one track after another where Gabbie Hana just screams and complains about all sorts of problems in her life, And I think the most unlikable quality about this album is really her attitude, which comes off kind of pretentious and kind of narcissist, maybe a little gaslighty at points. So yeah. And number 11 and 10, I'm giving it to in fact 11, 10, and 7. Okay, 11, 10, and 7. I'm giving it to 3 albums that have one thing in common, and that is they are all Playboi Carti copycats, because they're all from the Playboi Carti record label, and all 3 of the albums are incredibly boring. So 11 and 10 are together back to back because they are extremely boring. They have no personality whatsoever. The production is all over the place. And then one of them is particularly bad that it lands on the 7th spot. But number 11 goes to Destroy Lonely's No Stylist. No Style? No Stylist? And at number 10, it is Ken Carson's X. So yeah, Destroy Lonely is very boring, and then Ken Carson's X is even more boring than that. Very bland, very boring, very poorly written lyrics. Instead of feeling like an actual musical album with original ideas and performances, it just sounds like a novelty project where the artist copies Playboi Carti as much as possible. Everything felt effortless and mindless and numb. It just doesn't even feel like a real album. Alright, number 9. Oh man, my guys. The one and only Chainsmokers with So Far So Good. Of course, if Chainsmokers releases an album, of course they have to end up on the list somewhere. But yeah, Chainsmokers are back, and this time they are playing as safe as ever, coming out with a very boring album for the most part. But then we have the parts where it's not boring, where the band actually tries to do something a little bit, like a tiny, teeny bit adventurous, and it just becomes the most hilarious things possible, like the breakbeat and the on one of the tracks, or the parts where they try to get serious and write acoustic ballads, but they just come off sounding like like a bunch of tryhards. Yeah, once again, the Chainsmokers, they're just the bane of pop music, I guess. The music they make is so trite and so digital and so electronic, and not even in a cool way. It's just so bland, and at the same time the lyrics are so shallow, like, ooh, teenagers, young adults love life, haha, partying at night, I met you at a party, and that's basically Chainsmokers in a nutshell. Alright, number 8, boring. It is Gunna's DS Forever. Gunna is no stranger to making boring albums that are so boring it nearly gives me migraines. So obviously Gunna has to end up on this list somewhere. And of course, speaking of boring, we have number 7 with Lucki's Flawless Like Me. Yeah, boring. That's pretty much the biggest sin that this album has committed. But aside from being boring, I think the reason why it's landed at number 7 is because Lucki sounds high. Like 50% of the time on the album, he's not even pronouncing his words clearly. He's slurring his words. He's just high, and maybe too high. Okay, the rest of the list don't have any boring albums because they're even worse than that. They are just downright atrocious. At number 6, we have Black Eyed Peas with Elevation. Truly one of the goofiest musical releases of the year. I mean, look at the album cover. All of the members of Black Eyed Peas look like NFTs on the cover. They're just little cartoonish little figures dancing around. And yeah, you know, the peak of Black Eyed Peas are long gone already, but yet they still insist on making music, making hip house with some of the most annoying beats, some of the worst lyrics, and some of the goofiest, silliest performances that they have ever put out. The music on this album are so trite and cliche, it sounds like they're made by an AI, and we have moments like double D's, double D's, double D's, which is annoying as hell, and also, You know what? It's so bad, it's actually kind of funny. I actually kind of like it. But they basically interpolated Adam Levine, holy fuck, the body of yours, it's absurd. Oh, yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Number 5, I am giving it to Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun's The Brave. I've reviewed this album shortly after it came out, and yeah, both Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun really rapped their asses off on some of the most mediocre beats and most mediocre flows ever. But really, the real meat, the real crux of why this album is so bad is really their attitude and the lyrics. Obviously, Tom MacDonald has been, like, ever since White Boy, he has been pumping out one track after another that really panders to right-wing American politics. You know, oh, gun control is a bad idea, everyone should own guns, uh, racism isn't that big of a deal, and if you're offended, you're a baby, blah, 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 blah. And like I said in my worst songs list, Tom MacDonald is not even American. He's Canadian. There's literally no point in doing any of this for him. Like, all this doesn't really affect him all that much. And the more you listen to his music, the more you realize, oh, you know, I don't think Tom MacDonald is really genuine. Most of the time on this album and in Tom MacDonald's musical career, and Adam Calhoun as well, he's basically doing it for clout at this point. He's just trying to, he's just feeding off of negative energy as much as possible. So, yeah, it's just embarrassing because this whole album is just one gigantic clout machine, and it's just The Brave. All right, at number 4, I'm giving it to one of the weirdest things I've heard all year, and that is I have no idea how did I manage to stumble upon this album because I don't hear any other YouTubers talk about this album, but it is really odd, and that is the new Valeria Almeida album, Secrets. This is the second coming of Farrah Abraham's My Teenage Daydream Ended, because this is a 17-minute long hellscape, electronic hellscape, where you get some of the weirdest, tiniest, and not even weird in a cool, innovative way, just weirdest, tiniest electronic loops with unintelligible screams and screeches and moans on top of it for 17 minutes straight. Some of the tracks here are like a few seconds long, some of the tracks are a minute long or 2 minutes long, but it's just 17 minutes and it makes no sense. It has no rhyme or reason. There are a couple of moments where it actually does sound like music, but otherwise it just sounds like noise. It just, and with an album cover like this, it just makes me think, like, is this album like a fictional album? Like, I feel like this is just one of those albums that exist inside a story for the characters to play and listen to. It's not a real album. I mean, what the hell is this? At number 3, of course, I have to give it to Machine Gun Kelly's Mainstream Sellout. I mean, come on, let's rock and roll! It's pop punk time. I fell in love with an emo girl. I mean, look at this album cover with the pink tomatoes and Machine Gun Kelly just rocking out with more pink tomatoes. I at times I'm not even sure if Machine Gun Kelly is really serious about this or not. I think to a degree he is a little self-aware that whatever he's doing here is just ridiculous. Like, nobody's gonna take this seriously. I mean, look at this. Yeah, so essentially we have another helping of Machine Gun Kelly pop punk with a lot of very cringy songwriting, a lot of guitars, with a lot of very bad performances, very odd features. Really makes you think, man, pop punk in 2022 may not be a really great idea. Even though I love pop punk, don't get me wrong, but I mean, look at what's happening to it now. Alright, number 2, you and I both know what it is. It's Kid Rock's Bad Reputation. Just like Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun, this is just an album that feeds off of negative attention and panders to the right-wing American politics as much as sloppily, as stinkily as possible. Except what makes Kid Rock even worse is that Kid Rock is terrible at everything. Like, aside from the lyrical contents, but also musically, some of the songs on Bad Reputation borders on Corey Feldman levels of bad. It's actually really impressive. The moments of rap is awful. The moments of auto-tune is ear-piercingly bad. And just the swagadocious, fuck the lockdowns, fuck the masks, I am free kind of attitude is just awful, degrading, unlikable as hell, really stinky, and just overall one of the most annoying albums of the year. But our number 1 spot is irreplaceable. It's unbeatable, undefeatable, irreplaceable, because this album is just one of those really, really rare awful albums that are so bad it's actually good. In fact, I think this is the first album since Corey Feldman's Angelic to the Core that had this effect on me. And of course, it's Flyysoulja 17. God, I love this album. God damn, I love this album. I had so much fun listening to this album. I had so much fun. And I know the other member of this duo, Kodiak Red, or Cody Jack Red, I forgot, also has a new album, and it's even more bloated and boring. I'm not really including it on this list because I really don't want to listen to that anymore. But 17, this album is a fucking masterpiece. Every single track has a different way of being bad. Every single performance on this album has its own little quirk. There's the I'm a top da da, I'm a top da da da. There is I wanna fuck you, I wanna fuck you. There's the swallow my kids. What? There is of course is an island girl, because essentially at the end of the album the band basically ran out of ideas on like making new songs for some reason. So instead of singing Island Boy, I'm an island boy, they just replaced boy with girl, and that's the whole song. That's like a whole new song for them. And my another one of my favorite moments on the album is the opener. I went to the mental hospital crying. And also the second track, Head, where Flyysoulja and Kodiak Red explicitly raps and sings and croons with their heart out. They really pour their heart and soul out to sing and rap about how much they want to receive head. And I kid you not, this song is longer than 21st Century Schizoid Man. It's 7.5 minutes long for some fucking reason. It's a masterpiece. This album is a masterpiece. I cried, I laughed, I went to heaven and then went to hell and back. This album is truly an experience in and of itself, and I recommend this album to everyone to listen to because this is just a masterpiece. So yeah, these are my 15 worst albums of 2022. What are your worst albums of the year? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. Also, apparently there's an album called by Iced Earth that ended up being the #1 worst album by Fantano, and I did listen to it a little bit, and it really, really sucks ass. But I'm not putting it on this list, however, because I feel like this is a solely Fantano thing, and Fantano is probably the only person who puts this album on their list, and I respect that. And Flyysoulja deserves a number 1. That's for sure. So yeah, thanks for watching. I am going to do the best songs list tomorrow on January 3rd, and then I'll take a break on the 4th, and then I will resume with my best albums list on the 5th, and then my best anime list on the 6th, and my best worst movies and best movies on the 7th and 8th, respectively.